Welcome to this episode of the Metal Verbalizers podcast. I am Johan Verbalizer, and today I have a new great band to recommend, Chemicide. Chemicide is a thrash metal band from Costa Rica that was formed in 2007. At first the band was called Conqueror, but in 2010 the name was changed to Chemicide. There was already another band called Conqueror at the time, and the band didn't want to share its name with another band. They wanted their own name, their own thing, which caused them to change name to Chemicide. The name Chemicide is coming from the band taking the words chemical and genocide, as I'm sure you maybe could guess, but then pressing them together into forming one word, which, became Chemicide. I've mentioned this in previous episodes a little bit, so I guess if you want to hear more about that, you can kind of like check back on those episodes, but like this kind of like phenomenon, or what do you want to call it, we're like taking two words and pressing them together to making a band name is something that I like a lot. And it's something that we have seen with other bands that we have previously talked about on this podcast, that the band is like taking two words, pressing them together into making one word, to kind of like making a name in that way. And it's something that I'm a big fan of, and I really like it when bands do that. Because it's kind of like, as great as names like Slayer or Slaughter or something like that are, it still kind of like makes it a little bit more like interesting and just looks generally cooler for some reason, in my opinion, when you do it like Chemicide is doing it with like taking two words and pressing them together to kind of like making a kind of like made up word to like have that as a name. I don't know. It's something that I think both looks, sounds, and just generally feels more interesting and cooler. And again, it's something that I really like when bands are doing. When it comes to the band's influences, Chemicide has mentioned bands like Ramones, Sepultura, Slayer, Misfits, Demolition Hammer, Hypnosia, Black Flag, Metallica, etc. I believe that you can clearly notice the Slayer influence in songs such as State of Emergency, Inequality, and also Self-Destruct. However, I personally think that you can also hear a lot of Creator and even some hints of Sodom in a song like State of Emergency. A song like Inequality, however, has even more hints of Sodom, in my opinion, as well as Slayer. The way that the guitars are sounding in the chorus of the song before Chemicide's like singing Inequality, like that sound of the guitars reminds me of Sodom a lot for some reason. I believe that it's reminding me of a specific Sodom song, but right now my mind is kind of blank. I don't know what song I'm thinking about, but it's one of them. Anyways, a song like Self-Destruct, I can hear a lot of Sepultura in. You know the Sepultura song, for example, Mayhem, one of the first songs on the album Morbid Visions. The main riff in Chemicide's song Self-Destruct kind of reminds me of the main riff in Sepultura's song Mayhem a little bit, but with a much more modern sound and production. It's not as like, dirty sounding, with lack of better words for it, as Mayhem by Sepultura. But the two riffs share that type of very fast, very heavy, very, like in your face sound. I think it's kind of like listen to these songs and kind of like compare it like that, and I think that you'll understand what I mean. A lot of people have compared the sound of Chemicide to bands like early Sepultura, for example, such as Morbid Visions, and songs like Mayhem that I just mentioned, and also the band Violator, as well as kind of a combination of the band Demolition Hammer and Slayer. So if you like any of these bands that I've previously mentioned, it's a very big chance that you will like Chemicide, and you should definitely check them out. Regarding the theme of Chemicide, they're trying to always go for new concepts. In general terms, the band seem to be aiming to present images and themes that kind of like people can relate to. For example, the lyrical themes generally seem to handle subjects that are, kind of like having an impact on society as a whole, such as different forms of injustice and other subjects similar to that. Chemicide is trying to write about these things in a way so that the listener can really relate to it, which I personally think it's a very interesting and very cool like approach to lyric writing. It's like, as I'm sure you know, like there's a certain bond, between the audience and the metal bands, but also kind of like implementing that idea into the lyrical writing as well, so that you really have the mindset when you're sitting down like writing lyrics, that you kind of like want to write in a way that the listener and the audience is supposed to like really be able to relate to the stuff you're writing, which again I think is very interesting and very great way to kind of like do that, and to kind of like have that approach to lyric writing. It's something that I like a lot, basically. Over the years, I believe that Chemicide has been a pretty active band when it comes to releases. They've currently released 1 EP, 4 full-length albums, and 3 singles. And of course, as if I need to say that, I recommend that you check out all of them. The plans that Chemicide currently has for the future is playing shows in Europe later this year, in 2023, as part of the band's Reverse Colonization tour. Chemicide will also be performing shows in the USA in recent time, which will also happen very soon. Furthermore, Chemicide is also working on their next album right now. As of now, Chemicide is planning to go into the studio to record this album sometime next year. This is, however, not confirmed, but I believe it is pretty safe to assume that we will get a new Chemicide album within, within the coming 2 years or so. Hopefully much sooner than that, but anyways. Having said that, I believe this is a great way to end the episode. We at Metal Verbalizers really appreciate that you've been listening to this episode until the end. If you enjoyed this episode, then it would be great if you'd like to give us a follow and help us spread the word. This way you can support both us as a podcast, but also the bands that we're verbalizing. We will be back next week with more verbalizing.